All right, this is day number 21. You will notice that we are wearing the exact same thing that we wore in day number 20 because we are back at home and we're going to knock out a couple of these recaps because that's what's holding us back from getting these videos out.
Yep.
Day 21, we start the day in Memphis and they had an exercise facility right there by the pool.
Yep.
And so Caitlin got her exercise in. And from Mississippi now we're going to New Orleans.
Depends. We're not local, so we say New Orleans.
We say New Orleans.
Yeah.
So we pull into there and there are heavy showers, heavy rain. So rain has been a major part of the last couple of days for us. So a lot of rain. Pull into New Orleans and there is the Superdome where the New Orleans Saints play, which I was a big Drew Brees fan. You don't care about football. It was cool for me to see that. But more importantly, Jared got to knock out another NBA stadium off of his list where the New Orleans Pelicans play. And initially, we didn't think we'd get in there. It was super rainy, didn't look like it was open.
Right.
We're going and tugging on doors and stuff. And then one of the employees there comes and opens the door to the shop for the stadium. Super nice gal. We go in there. They didn't have any pins. So we had to order New Orleans Pelicans pins later. But she was super great. And what was interesting about this is I have heard a lot of stuff about New Orleans. And we need to back up a little bit.
Okay.
Driving into New Orleans was crazy. You're on like a bridge for miles.
Forever.
And miles. It's like all of the roads are just bridges over swampy things.
Yeah, that was cool.
It was super nuts. And it's supposed to be infested with alligators, I'm sure, and who knows what else.
So me and you, we were just thinking, who made these roads?
We are glad we did not make those.
Poor people on boats building up bridges.
I don't know how they built those.
Alligator-infested waters.
Does anybody have any history on how those roads were built? Because that seems like a miserable job.
It was a feat.
Very pleasant to drive over, though.
It was cool. Yeah, because everywhere we looked, it was just
water everywhere.
And green. Water and green.
Anyway.
Even the water was green.
So now we're back in the stadium, and the gal who's there helping us, I asked her, I was like, what can a family do in New Orleans? Because I've heard of Mardi Gras. That's not really our vibe. Trying to figure out what we could do in a very limited amount of time. She was super sweet, but she was like, okay, you've got a family. Avoid this area, avoid that area, avoid this area. Don't want to go see that. And so we ended up at Louis Armstrong Park.
Yes.
And so what did you think about Louis Armstrong Park?
I really liked Louis Armstrong Park.
What did you like about Louis Armstrong Park?
Well, we parked on the road, and just across the street was like a little restaurant that was just out of a house. And they were playing jazz music. It was a cool vibe.
Yeah.
It was a vibe there.
Yeah.
And then walking around the park, it was just cool. It was just different.
And that's where I recorded my Medicare video. So you all kind of went and explored that area.
Yeah,
there are lizards all over the place.
Lizards everywhere. We're telling the kids, don't fall in the water. Crocodile's going to come get you.
Or alligator.
Either or. Yeah, it was just the humidity. It just felt...
Everyone's hair was like
hair got a little frizzy and curly. And yeah, I liked it.
That was a super cool park. It looks like they're kind of renovating a lot of things. Yeah. So there were these ants or beehives or something. There was like do you remember that building that had like all the bugs that were crawling up of it? And so
I think what I liked most at that moment was being outside.
Yeah.
Because the last 2 days and a half or whatever, it was either raining or we weren't able to go to a park, or it was just a very in the car, in a building type of thing. So it felt really good to be outside.
It was super rainy driving in there, and then we got a little bit of a break to where it was more of like misty rain.
Yeah.
It wasn't like full on pouring, and so we could wander around that park for a bit. Again, it's a culture that I would say is the exact opposite of where we're from. We're up in the mountains, it's dry, not really the same culture at all from Utah. And then you go to New Orleans and it's so much different. And just everything about it, and the homes and the structures, the feelings of everything. So anyway, it was
cool.
Super different. From there, we continue driving over miles of bridge roads, and we stop in at a restaurant. And this was kind of a funny... So if you've never been to Utah, we have a lot of alcohol rules here where you are not allowed into a lot of bars unless you're 21.
Restaurants with bars.
Yeah, unless you're 21 or older. They card you and everything, and kids aren't allowed and all that stuff. So I pull up to this restaurant, and we're just starving, and Noelle's hangry again. And so I walk in first while everybody's in the car, and I'm like, hey, I got kids. Are we okay to come into this restaurant? And she looks at me with the most confused look, like, what are you talking about? I was like, where I'm from, which is
outer space,
Mars, you're not allowed to have kids come into bars. And she was like, and she had a deep accent. She was like, honey, if we didn't allow kids in bars, then we wouldn't have any business. So it's like, yeah, you can bring your kids in. So she was super nice. That's my attempt at a New Orleans accent.
Very not good.
Super great. So we ate there, and it was time to be adventurous for me, at least.
For most of us.
For most of us. I got a Cajun shrimp and crawfish pasta.
Because where else are you going to do that?
Nowhere else. I think that's the only place that they offer that.
Exactly.
We don't eat seafood, and so I was like, I'm going to try seafood.
Seafood is disgusting.
We did learn that I do not have a shellfish allergy. That would have been a bad way to learn.
And that's honestly why I was nervous about being more adventurous with food.
Yeah.
I had that fear of what if.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also got
alligator, fried alligator. So it tastes a lot like chicken nuggets.
Well, it's heavily breaded. We'll have a picture. It's heavily breaded, and it tastes like the breading.
It tastes like the breading,
nuggets,
and then it tastes like the dip that you dip it in.
You have. Yeah.
It almost felt like, now I'm not going to accuse anybody of anything.
No.
But it almost felt as though this could be chicken.
There's a little upcharge.
To say it was alligator, it was basically just to charge a little bit more.
Right.
For that special something something. I'm going to trust that it was alligator.
We had chicken nuggets.
The meat in it, though, it was like less meat than any chicken.
Yeah, heavily breaded.
Heavily breaded. But we did try it. And
Noelle didn't.
Noelle didn't. She said she didn't want to eat an alligator because she felt bad.
So she ate chicken nuggets.
She is okay to eat pig and chicken and cow and any other animal, but for some reason she doesn't want to kill...
Nothing on alligators,
which, me personally, I think that's a little bit screwed up because alligators...
Don't seem very nice.
Cows, they seem nice. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
There's our animal hierarchy. Soda Board House.
We're going to eat all the alligators and call it chicken.
Yes. Here's another kind of interesting thing that I've felt with Mississippi and New Orleans specifically is in a lot of the areas that we've been in, like the Midwest and the West, people were, I would say, like overly nice, like very nice and pleasant. And it seemed like in Mississippi and New Orleans, at least the places that we went, with the exception of the Pelican Stadium, she was very kind. She was
darling.
Everyone else we kind of interacted with in this instance didn't seem very happy.
No.
And granted, we're dealing with a bar restaurant, so the waitress there just didn't seem like she wanted to be there, didn't seem like she was happy with that part of her life. Even the checking into certain hotels and all that stuff, it just felt like a little bit more of a somber mood, and maybe it's the rain, maybe it's a lot of things.
Sure, we don't know.
The randomness of the people we interacted with in Mississippi and New Orleans didn't seem as happy as the other places that we've been.
Yeah, I noticed that
so
for
far,
sure.
so.
Felt like we were more of a nuisance to people
right.
just by existing. But
yeah. Anyway, we go from New Orleans, Louisiana, to check off that in our state journey, and then we move over into Mobile, Alabama.
Yep.
Mobile.
I think you decided Mobile.
I have said it wrong every time, and every time I feel like I got it, I don't, and then I get corrected. But we pulled into the Battle House. Again, it's been raining. Lightning is going to come into the story, but we go to the Battle House in Mobile, Alabama, and this was awesome.
Yes.
Again, ET Family Travel. Thank you so much. They are unbelievable. If you are planning a travel trip, you have got to use ET Family Travel. Doesn't cost you anything to use them. They did everything for us. What do you remember about the Battle House?
It was awesome. It looked like a real old school battle house. Because it was, right? They turned it into a hotel.
But it's super nice inside.
How many levels did it have?
It had a lot of levels. It was kind of spread out in different towers.
I feel like there was like a conference area in one section of it, which was cool because it's raining and lightning.
Lightning
happening, so we're stuck inside again.
The pool is closed at the moment.
Yeah. And they had a ping pong table area, which was wonderful because the kids could play ping pong.
And contrasting with the people that we experienced in Mississippi and New Orleans, one of the workers of the hotel comes over. She was wonderful.
Yeah.
And she sees our kids playing ping pong, and she comes over. And I think I had kind of wandered off to go do my video, so I'm not sure what that interaction was like.
Yeah, I think she thought I was a child because I was sitting on the floor in this little ping pong area. And the kids are playing ping pong. They're not being crazy. They're just playing. And I think when she looked in, she thought there was no adult supervision. So she started approaching the kids being like, hey, how are you guys? And then she looked over and saw the adult that was sitting on the floor looking like a child. And then we had a conversation, just kind of said what we were doing. And she ended up telling us she told us a little bit about the history. And then she went over to wherever she went. And she came back with some cute mugs, postcards, and things like that for just to remember the Battle House and to remember our stay. Yeah. And I think she knew that, okay, here's this family. They're here for one day. We kind of told her what we were doing, and the weather was bad. And so I think she was like, all right, let's make this stay a little bit more cool. So she was great.
During that time, while I'm off making my Medicare video, which is probably the worst location of the trip because it was stuck inside and it was all echoey, but neither here nor there, I get a text saying that the pool is open. So we were able to go up to the pool, and this pool is our first 10 out of 10
Was it?
of the journey.
It's big.
This pool was absolutely incredible. The exercise facility was unbelievable. So the exercise facility is inside. There are these big windows looking out into the pool. And then when you go out into the pool, it's huge, big enough for laps. It's got lap lanes. It's got a kid pool. It's got a hot tub. It's got this view. And it has a tennis court.
It does.
Now, we didn't play tennis, but I'm a tennis player. So that made me happy. Kids loved the pool. We swam there for hours. And then Kit and I are hanging out in the hot tub. And this wonderful couple who is from Alabama, born and raised, they're from Birmingham, I think. So northern Alabama. And we're just hanging out with them and talking with them about everything going on, have a great conversation with them. They learn what we're doing. We learn who they are. And then they gave us a tip that changed the trip.
It did. Well, so we told them we were planning on going to
Disney World.
They give us the little tip about Orange Beach.
Yep.
And it was 45 minutes out of the way or 30 minutes out of the way?
They said it's going to be about 30 to 45 minutes out of the way.
Right. And they're like, if it's worth it to go to an amazing beach, they highly recommended it. So we took it on them, took it on faith, and we went, and it was awesome. We want to go on another trip.
That's tomorrow. We can't.
Oh, what? Then what?
You gave it away. We'll
Well, you
talk more
told me
about that tomorrow.
You told me to tell you the tip about what they did to change the trip.
Well, they did change. That's a spoiler. We call those spoilers so that people subscribe and then watch our next video.
I wasn't supposed to say anything.
They gave us a tip on where we're going to go in tomorrow's video.
I'm not going to tell you what that is.
Yes, I'll never know now. So I think from there, after our swimming party,
Okay.
thank you to that couple who were super nice. We go back to our hotel, we finish the fourth Harry Potter and go to bed.
Yep.
And to know where tip they gave us, you're going to have to wait until the next video.
You don't know now. Okay.